All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Writer's Cut. I am your host Edwin Acevedo, and I'm here with my longtime hardline friend, co-conspirator. I call him a lot of things, but it's the one and only Joe Ball. What's going on, brother?
What's up? No, yeah, like I feel like we've known each other for an eternity now,
Yes,
and it's been a good 6 years, which is kind of crazy in hindsight.
it is.
Think that far back on when all this indie comic CG stuff kicked off. But
Definitely.
yeah, dude, how's your Sunday going though?
It's been good, just finished up work a little bit ago, got a chance to eat and relax. And now, I've kind of dedicated myself to getting back to streaming. I'm proud. I think I've been doing this 3 months now. This is episode 12. I do it every other Sunday. So it's been like 3 months now. Like every other Sunday, I've been streaming. So it's been good, man. It's good to kind of get back into it. This one, we won't be too topic heavy. We're mostly kind of good. Talk a little bit of our projects a little more in depth. We kind of, I think over the last 11 episodes, we really just touched on a lot of influences and a lot of different things as far as writing goes. But here we'll tell you a little bit about our stories. I think we got two really cool projects here that are still funding right now. You'll see by the end of the year. We're gonna promote that. Just want to say hi to Cole, who's in the house. Thank you, brother. First one in the chat. Got
What's
Apex
up,
also
Cole?
saying hi. What up,
What's up?
brother? Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, guys, please like, share, let everybody know. I'm gonna go tweet this out to everybody. So, Joe, why don't you tell everybody about how your Father's Day went, brother?
Oh man, it went great. Last night, I was up working till I don't know. It was probably right about 5 a.m. because I remember seeing like looking at the clock and it was 4:55 a.m. and being like, "Damn, I'm still going strong." And literally 3 minutes later, I was like, "I'm gonna die." So, like, I was like, that's how quick like the caffeine left my body. It was like instantaneous. So I dragged myself upstairs to the couch and I just crashed on the couch. Well, like it was Father's Day, so the family decided to be somewhat nice and tried to let me just sleep as long as I liked on the couch, despite being noisy and stuff. They tried their best to keep it down. And man, I woke up at probably like 1 in the afternoon and I felt great. I was like, oh man, this is crazy. Never, I'm so used to waking up like 3 to 4 hours after I've fallen asleep because kids wake up and when they wake up, you wake up. And um, it was really nice that they let me get some extra Z's in, and then anything I wanted, the wifey was super on it, and it was just if I said, hey, a beer sounds good, a beer just appeared in my hand. I want it to be every day. I'll live with it only being one day, but someday it shall be every day.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, dude, it was good. I went outside and just sat around like a piece of trash with just my jeans on and the grill going, no shirt, no nothing, just looking like a slob out there and having fun, just smoking cigarettes and chugging beer and staring at the coals, just being like, "Yep, this is fine. I could live with this all day long. Kids playing in the yard. I'm just sitting here getting inebriated, and everybody's happy." So it was great. I mean, it's weird how such a simple thing that used to be considered just like a weekend tradition with most people. Like, hey, we just, fire up the grill, even if all we got some frozen burger patties, who cares? Drink some cheap beer and just enjoy each other's company. Like,
oh yeah.
I just want that to be every single day. I don't know when I'll get there. I'm in my 40s, but I want every day to just be sitting, looking at coals and drinking and smoking, and that's it.
Yeah, man. I mean, gotta enjoy the little things in life. It's like as I've also gotten to like my 40s. It's like I just appreciate the little things more. Like I think the times of me going out, getting crazy and all that, that's gone a couple years ago. Really, COVID killed all that. So now I just kind of like to chill, man. I like to kind of do my things. I was actually went to this convention on Saturday. This local wrestling convention. I met Lex Luger, Devon Dudley, a couple other people, which was really cool. But I got to see my best friend, who was I hadn't seen in a minute, so we got to like hang out for the Saturday afternoon. So it was fun, man. That's what I look forward to, man. It's kind of
I try to, you know me, I try to save my body for football season because
yeah,
I know that at least 9 times between August and February, I'm gonna just be a total mess. So I try to save my body for those 9 event dates throughout that course of 4 to 5 months, and try to
yeah,
prepare myself. Like it's like in my head, the perfect thing is being messed up all the time, even though I know it's not. It doesn't functionally make any sense to live your life that way 24/7. But like if I just gotta stay strong enough for football season, then I can go crazy.
yeah.
Drink my whole year in that month.
If anybody doesn't know, you want to know what Joe's like during Bengal season? Just think of Bat Dad from South Park. That's Joe.
I'm insufferable because it's all I care about and it's all I talk about. Like once football season's on, good luck getting me to bring something to a conversation because it's my all I can think about is Joe Burrow and how awesome he is. And that's just kind of like my line of thought all the time now. Like I just walk around all day just thinking like, man, Joe Burrow is fucking awesome. You got him and Jesus Christ. I'm talking about the ultimate dream team right now. Like these are the two coolest dudes I can possibly conceive of. They're so
Hey, man,
awesome.
trust me, I'm jealous of you, man. I know what it's like to have an all-time quarterback, and I know what it's like not to have one. And it's been
Oh,
bad for Broncos. So hopefully, Russell Wilson can figure it out this year because this is last year. We ain't having that. He'll get run out of Denver. So
you know what though? I think he's got as good a chance as ever this year. There's just enough pieces in place and little things that have gotten fixed, and the defense was already shit. They were top 10. It was just that offense struggled so much, but I mean the defense was rock solid. There were
yeah,
games Cincinnati barely skimped out of with 10 points, 17 points against Denver during Denver some of their worst years and our best. So it's crazy how good they actually are. But yeah, dude, it's just like we haven't had a guy like this since Boomer Esiason. It's like Andy Dalton was good. Palmer was almost there. Like Palmer was the I mean, it was party time again in Cincinnati in 2005 when Palmer hit the field. Like people were losing their minds. But after he went down with that knee, it's just we all knew he was never the same. He flinched. He looked nervous. It was just he ended up just hating the city that literally made him the highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL at the time. Like people will be like, the Bengals are cheap. It's like, Jesus Christ, how many guys do we got to pay insane amounts of money to, make new records for pay? And then those guys just friggin' backstab us later on. So it's whatever. I just love Joe Burrow. He's an Ohio boy. He gets it. And I cannot wait, dude. I seriously skim YouTube for just anything Bengals all the time. And even the guys that make the content are running out of things to talk about. They're like, yeah, there was a mini camp, dude, through football. Another dude caught it. It's just like what we don't know what to say. We need games. We've been stretching the space out for months now, trying to fill in gaps when there's just nothing to talk about except other players, or other teams' drama.
yeah, man. It's like one of those things, like there's nothing like even like preseason is hard, man. Like to me, as I've gotten into regular season, that's when it's about. It's regular season to the end of the playoffs. Everything else, I just everything else just people talking heads,
Yeah,
let's see when people are actually on the field and we got actual live video, that's when we can talk about stuff. But aside from that, I try to avoid all that stuff. I'll keep an eye out just for signings and stuff, but I mostly follow social media accounts, they keep you updated about who we cut, who we signed,
yeah.
so they do a good job with that. So aside from that, but yeah, it's got Apex saying he back def. It's waiting for a great book, brother. Oh, you have no idea, man. I've seen most of it, and it's gonna be fantastic. But we'll get into that later.
Yeah, dude, but I can't wait. I'm smiling so big right now because I'm thinking about football season. I was actually just talking to my wife a little bit ago. There's the Cincinnati Comic Expo actually is happening the same weekend where there's a game for once. Usually we're always out of town for some reason, like we're playing an away game. It seems like every year when the expo happens. And we actually have a Monday night game against the Rams. And I'm sitting there looking at like hotel prices for these dates, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This shit's getting more insane every year. Like,
Yeah.
Something's got to give here, because like you're asking me now to kind of dictate what's more important to me, the convention or the football game. And we both know the answer is the football game. Like that definitely takes precedence. So I'm trying
Do
to
you
think
know
ahead, make
you know who they're
decisions now.
playing?
The Rams.
That'll be a good one, man. Yeah, definitely. That's one to go to.
Dude, the Rams still got heat with us, so you know it's going to be a little bit nasty. Like
Yeah.
they came to Cincinnati for the first preseason game after that Super Bowl, and dude, it was a preseason game, and you would have thought that crowd was ready to kill every player on the Rams team. Like they were screaming at the coaches, throwing stuff at them on the sidelines when they were coming out the tunnels and shit, and doing all their little warm up stuff pregame. Like the only guy I've seen come in that doesn't get completely like thrashed is the Ravens quarterback Woodley. Like he'll just sit there and play ball with whoever's in the crowd. Like he's just gonna play toss with people no matter where they're at in the stadium. Like he'll launch that ball all the way up to like the high rafters trying to reach people. I'm like, this guy's cool. He don't care what town he's in. He's just there to play football with your kids before the game with no charge, no special event being attached. Who wants to play catch? It's pretty cool. So
That's awesome.
yeah. And it's a Ravens guy. Who would have thought? Some scuzzy fucking ratbird player from Baltimore.
Yeah.
Just being a total sweetheart every time he's in Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's funny. No, it's always like the divisional rivals are always like a funny thing. It's like people always like I hate the Raiders. I dislike the Chiefs. I don't care about the Chargers.
Yeah.
That's the levels. And so like it's one of those things that's hilarious. But like, that's how it is. Raiders, death to Raiders. Chiefs, let's take them down. Chargers, whatever, man. We're cool. We'll beat you again. Like it's nothing.
Well, it's fluctuated between Chargers and Chiefs holding that role in that division for so long, with the Raiders always just kind of, not always, but like in the last like 15 years, 20 years, have always just kind of bounced around between good and bad, where the Chiefs get what? They would have like the occasional playoff run pre-Andy Smith.
Yeah.
They were just never, they haven't been a big threat. I know everyone is on the Patrick Mahomes train now, but it's like, you guys got to understand the Broncos been running that division for like 40 years or something insane. They're going to hate the Raiders because the Raiders have generally been the next team up in that division. And now it's, now the Chiefs are kind of running the show, but I'm going to be watching some games, dude, because I want to see what Samanje does. I want to see what some other guys do. I'm just so antsy for Samanje to face plant some Chiefs for you guys now that he's a Bronco. That gets me excited.
Beat up on those Chiefs. Beat them up. Beat them down. Let's soften them up this year. We need. I have good vibe this year. I think like new coach, and I think everybody knows like it's time to put up or shut up. And that's like the good thing. Like there's no excuses. There's no like. I think everybody's on the same page. Like we gotta do it this year. So I'm looking forward to it.
If Sean Payton can't figure it out, like I don't know who can, because it's not like there's a lack of quality. It's just like, I don't know. I've told you this before that Russell Wilson had like this. I guess you'd call him like a life coach type dude, and this dude was with him his entire career and was going to go with him to Denver. Like it was all set up. Like he pays this guy to be with him all the time. Yeah. And this guy is not a sports coach, but he kept Russell playing at a high level. Something he did that was outside of athletics kept Russell Wilson. Like, I mean, let's be honest here. This dude's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah. He's not some schlub. He did uncanny things when he was in Seattle, and he deserves to be praised for his athletic work, because for a small quarterback too, well, I mean, big compared to us, but, small compared to quarterbacks. He really went out there and he was like the Daniel Bryan. And it's ironic because he's from Seattle too. You have all these things where like small dudes can really come out on top in that city, especially in sports and combat sport.
Yeah.
It's just,
remember, he's also one handoff away from 2 rings. So
Yeah, and that guy I was referencing, he died right before the move was going to happen. So Russell was going into a season completely new team, new players, new system, new coaches, and his basically his life friend just out of nowhere at a young age. I think the guy was only in his early 40s or something. He wasn't that old. Just gone one day. So I would imagine that took a toll on him. I would think this year we might get to see like a Russell Wilson with his I don't know, with his I don't want to say his toughness. It's not like he's not tough. He's still a tough dude, but like I feel like his edge will be back. He'll be more laser focused and ready to go out there and be the Russell Wilson we've all kind of grown used to over the last 10 years. Cause I mean, I'm not a fan of him by default if he's not a Bengal, but like to act like he's not good is just silly, you know?
Yeah, man. We need that. We need that magic Russ back. Like because
Mm-hmm.
the weapons are there. The weapons are there. The coach is there. So now it's time, man. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's do it big this season.
Let's go,
Uh,
Big Russ.
yeah. Speaking of doing it big, Apex, man. And since you're back in books here, you gotta throw a little love to Raider the White Leopard. It's funding right now on fundmycomic.com. See how many days you got left here.
Speaking of that, I'm gonna go back that tonight because I thought I did, but then I was like, no, I don't think I did.
That's only 39 days left. It ends July 28th at 3 a.m. Pacific. So yeah, it's only less than 40 days to go. So time's running out. This won't be extended. I'm launching Ace 3 after this, so that's why it's gonna run for like the 3 months that it runs. Uh, so it's gonna be a limited time. So if you want one, now's the time to get it. But yeah, for anybody who hasn't had heard about the book or kind of needs a refresher, Raider the White Leopard is the story of a band of Viking raiders who get caught up in a massive storm and they wash up on a mysterious island. Right there, you can see this awesome cover by Donald DeLay of Auric. He's the lead Viking guy. And basically, the idea of this, it's something that I'm a fan of Vikings like everybody else is. Like I think that's one of the things for when you say Viking, mostly everybody agrees. Like, yeah, Vikings are cool. Like
Yeah.
I like that. That's like a universal thing. But I'm also like comic books. I like superheroes. I like to play in kind of this area. So I wanted to kind of do a Viking story that had like a little bit of superhero elements, had some other kind of different things, and kind of mix it all together. So the first part of this was made probably early last year as a pitch to Alternate Comics. This ended up showing up on their anthology series that came out on a Wednesday, number 18, which you can still get the first 7 pages there. And yeah, this was really kind of interesting thing to write. I don't know if at that point, once I pitched it to Alterna, I pretty much thought like, all right, I'm just gonna put this out there and see kind of where it goes and what happens. And the
Yeah.
feedback I've gotten was really good. People kind of wanted to see more and kind of to see where the story kept going, and that was cool. So I kind of like took some time and kind of thought about like what happens after like the big kind of reveal in the first kind of couple of pages, and that's how kind of like the second half of the book. It's called Raid of the White Leopard from the start, but the idea kind of evolved. I didn't know who the White Leopard was at first. When I first came up with this, because basically the story was just about the Vikings. So I kind of expanded on and kind of came up with the White Leopard, came up with his backstory, came up with the inhabitants of the island, and kind of how it all ties in together. And it's really kind of interesting kind of writing process. Something completely different. When I write like Ace, the first issue and stuff, it's written basically from beginning to end, and to kind of know where the book starts and where it ends, and it's an ongoing
Yeah.
story. So you kind of tell the one story of the issue. But this is completely different. This is basically one short story, and then it gets expanded. And now, like I'm thinking about doing 3 books of this. Where we kind of do. I see like a big HBO miniseries almost. Kind of like we have a beginning here. There was book 1, kind of set up the players and everything. Book 2 kind of is the conflict, and book 3 is kind of like the resolution. So, it's definitely been something completely different from what I've done. And, for anybody who, like I said, if you aren't really caught up with it, you know, it features some absolutely fantastic art, man. Like I cannot put over Avery enough. Just every time he sent me a new page, it just blew me away, man. His detail, the way he sets up the panels, dude, just like he was perfect. I could not imagine anybody else doing this book, man. Like
Yeah,
Avery
Avery,
and a treat.
excellent, excellent work.
Let's see what Apex is saying here. Yeah, but you got 39 days. Save up, brother.
Too, if anyone does go by the back issue of it, came out on Wednesday. You get this feel for the type of mystery that's being laid before you, and it really is interesting and tantalizing. Like it's not the type of cliffhanger where you're let down. It's definitely like the type of cliffhangers where you're just like, "What?
Yeah, it's
I,
like you see
come
it, you're
on,"
kind of like,
you know?
yeah, where's this going? It's like the moment when I came up with the twist, because I knew I wanted the twist basically. So the idea was like, all right, this happens, and then we get to the end. So like, I had a couple different ideas, but this one really hit. I was like, okay, what if this happens? And then I was like, that's the one. Like the moment I like wrote it down, I'm like, that's the one I'm going with. So yeah, it definitely sets up for like more, but it also kind of works on its own. If nothing had ever happened to it, it would still been like a cool little short story. And like I said, one of my dreams as a creator was always to get published by a major comic book company. Alterna, has been around for over 10 years. They published a lot of different writers and creators. They have a good reputation, that they're in actual physical comic book stores. Like I said, you can pick up their back catalog on their website. So they're the real deal. And the fact that, Peter, I submitted to him. Peter chooses all the stories. He liked it. He liked it a lot, actually. He was super excited about getting it in the book. And he put it on number issue 18, which actually has a Kenneth Rocafort cover. So
Yeah,
which is absolutely incredible. So when you see the credits, I'm right there. Kenneth Rocafort cover, me, Avery, I'm in the credits. So that's like a little collector's issue, like it's one of like, I'll put that probably with my Ace copies and Bloodbone and all that as part of like my own collection, so
oh,
that's
sure, yeah.
as legit as possible. So yeah, something to be proud of and excited about. And then, like I said, now we're doing book one, 20-page floppy, do have the proof in hand. See if I can blow myself up here.
Oh, ooh la la.
Yeah, so you see, this is the proof of Raid of the White Leopard. All my books have the Drawing Aces Comics group on the end. Got some of that sweet artwork here. The actual pages won't be as glossy as they are on here. They're kind of a little less. And they also have a camera not a light that shines directly on it, which makes it even look glossier. But it's not going to be as much. But yeah, man, it's beautiful. I mean, just look at that. Avery, just every page just draws you in. It's got a lot of great action. And, like I said, everything is completely finished, which is really cool. And, the idea that, you're going to get this, uh, I'm shooting November, but probably earlier than that.
Yeah,
I think maybe October is probably like a more kind of reasonable, but I don't want to like promise before, we've had like sidetrack stuff with getting damaged copies and all that kind of stuff. So I try to be a little kind of more hesitant when it comes to like giving timetables for stuff to ship out, as I've
yeah.
shipped out 3 campaigns. So, I kind of know like some of the pitfalls and everything that happens with that. So yeah, there we
You
go.
live and you learn when it comes to making your own books. That is for sure. Because even when you hear everyone else's experiences, like it can just be things you wouldn't even imagine or haven't even come up within the circles yet, or just totally freak stuff. Even like COVID, like who could have predicted all that? Not that that necessarily affected us in a dramatic way. There were plenty of other, lines of work or trades where it did. So yeah, it's just you never know what you never know what you're getting into from day to day with this stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was even a point where I couldn't find any Silver Age bags. Like it's
Yeah,
sold out everywhere. Gotta wait like a couple of weeks to get to them. It's like, man, like, you never know. Like, it could be anything. Paper shortages, all sorts of crazy stuff, man. Like, you don't even like account for as a creator, especially when you're fulfilling your own stuff. So it's pretty crazy, but it's also
the
fun.
stuff all. Yeah, well, it's weird because the stuff's all been normal and attainable for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, and now we're running into just these global level issues
Yeah,
that just weren't factors even a couple of years ago. So it definitely it's you just always try to be prepared as best you can.
yeah, definitely. And I love this. This is one of my favorite pages of the book, just because of the close up on Arik's face. This is like page 2 or 3, and you just kind of see like his face basically tells the story to me. You know, I remember getting
Yeah,
this page back and be like, I love this. Like this is exactly what the kind of story that I wanna tell. Like Avery just helped bring that to life. And the cool thing about Eric, will kind of get into more of his like backstory and stuff in book 2. This one's more like just like a first person kind of account while he's going through this storm and trying to survive and lead his men into this like new kind of mysterious island. But I'll kind of get into like the stuff that drives him and kind of more of his backstory in book 2. You know, the idea with him is somebody who's kind of very much set in creating a legacy before he passes. He's someone who very much believes in destiny and the gods and all that stuff. Because sometimes, when you see it in a lot of stories that are being told, a lot of times, you don't really know if, like, how much is this, are people just kind of going through like the motions, or do they actually believe it?
yeah,
And I kind of wanted to center Auric as like somebody who actually believes in everything. Like when he talks about the gods a lot, it's because he truly believes it. Like he's had different experiences and stuff in his past that kind of led him to that point. So I really wanted to tackle him as like a true believer in many ways, even compared to like his men and stuff. Like like the reason they accept him as like their leader isn't just because he's a great warrior and stuff, but they believe in like what he believes in. They believe he's striving for greatness, so they want to be a part of like what he does. So I thought that was really kind of an interesting take. I said it'll probably be more on book 2, but the more I've kind of started to like figure him out, it's kind of like the more interesting he's become to me. At first he's just kind of like a Viking guy, kind of like a
that's kind
stereotypical.
of the natural order of things. People are
Yeah,
attracted to other people's success, no matter what form it comes in. And
yeah,
yeah, it's definitely cool because it's kind of like what you would imagine seeing in that element in the first place.
hmm
A dude that basically demands respect by his actions.
yeah. I love this next one here is like, the gods aren't done with me yet. After he gets kind of rescued on this like this smaller boat that kind of makes it like basically they're on this kind of like bigger ship, and it gets like taken out. So there's only like 12 survivors left. They kind of all huddled up here in this raft, and kind of you know figure out kind of what to do next. So like I said, I'll probably we'll be doing more stuff with the other Vikings that you've seen. You've seen Alga, you've seen a couple other different ones. Those start kind of you kind of learn more about them in book 2. Book 1, I just wanted mostly to focus on Auric and the White Leopard, because I really think I wanted to like distinguish both kind of sides, kind of on their own, and then you can kind of use some of the other kind of players to kind of strengthen the story that way. Yeah, and then you see some of the stuff with the White Leopard here. Really, just I love the little panel there, the little disc, and then it shows the Vikings inside it. That's super cool. That's such like a unique little touch.
Yeah.
And even
Well,
there,
and
like,
execution was top notch too.
yeah, There you see, the leopard in the smoke, as this guy trains and gets hit with the lightning. It's a lot of different things here. I remember, like, every time I've done like an interview, people always ask me, like, like, I didn't expect this to be in the book. And like, yeah, that's kind of the point, man. I want to keep you guessing, I want to really kind of make you question, can you figure out what's going on, like in the story. Yeah, we give you all
It's
sorts of different little
yeah,
things.
it's different in the best way possible. It's not contrarian. It's not um, uh, someone doing something silly like Vikings versus um, Easter bunnies. Like just trying to be ironic
Yeah,
or something. Or place two things that you wouldn't normally see together. It's just it's a real interesting take. It's tough because I don't want to say too much,
yeah.
but I want to say a lot at the same time.
And then this is a big kind of, I don't know if I kind of fought myself to see if I wanted to like show the white leopard in this, but it came down to me like I can't really show anything else if I don't show him, So those things
Yeah,
where I think that page and that kind of showing the pirates, showing all this other stuff, I think that's like the last hook. I think the page, you know, I compared it to a lot of my other pages that I did for like IGG, even for like Bloodbone. I think this one has the best layout because you can kind of see most of the story, but it doesn't really spoil the good stuff.
yeah,
So I think this last page is really kind of like the one that people go, "Oh, I didn't know pirates, what the leopard, all this kind of stuff." You're like, "Yeah, now I got you." So yeah, it's super cool, man. Like I said, like I hope people dig it. Like think it's really fun book, and like I said, hopefully we can run up and get some to the stretch goals and stuff. We're like 1,000 away from unlocking the Boob Dan poster, which I think is like a fantastic piece. To get this in people's hands. Colors by Marcos Martins. And even after 3,000, we have more stretch goals and more cool stuff. So hopefully, people can dig that, and all the links for the projects are in the chat. They're also in the description. So you can go check those out. Yeah, so that's Radio the White Leopard, guys. 39 days to go. Go check it out. If you have friends who like Vikings, who like all this kind of stuff, man, show them, just spreading the word around. You never know whose eyes you'll catch. I've had different backers come out of like the woodwork to back this book, and they're back to their high tiers and stuff. They seem to like what's going on, and we're on Fund My Comic. That this it doesn't have as many eyeballs as other sites do, but I think we can kind of help grow this project because it's going to be exclusive to Fund My Comic, and we can also grow the site itself, which I'm super proud of. I
yeah,
jumped on with Dillard, you know, and now there's tons of projects funding. There's 10K projects, got Merc a couple other ones that are doing big. So, the support's there, man. So hopefully, it'll come our way too. We can kind of make this the best project possible. So let me just give
yes,
me a quick second.
yep.
And load up a little DDD.
There's lots of
Yes,
D, so it takes a little long to load sometimes.
there are 3 big D's in here, son.
Mhm.
You just don't know what you're getting into with this.
It's a lot like something you'd find on Pornhub. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, just type in DDD and this will pop up. Joe's
Yeah,
got the marketing everywhere. He's gonna send the link right to you.
I've thought
That'd be
ahead of the
hilarious. Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be hilarious. You can sneak that in everywhere. Be like the whatever algorithm Google uses. Like you'll be scrolling through Facebook and you'll see stuff pop up that you've talked about in supposedly secret DM groups.
yeah.
You'll be like, what? How
Yeah,
did they know? If you could do something like
bullshit.
that, where that just pops up everywhere. Just like people you know, scrolling, pops up on Times Square. You just see like, death back in now. That'd be
I
awesome.
wish, dude. I actually looked at like prices to get things ran in Times Square at one point. It's not as hateful as you'd think, but still, like
No,
you're paying
pretty
such tiny
doable, but
fragments of time. Yeah,
depends how like how deep pockets you got and how big your campaign is. It's definitely
yeah,
manageable. I've seen the numbers too, man. I was like, maybe one day. get this up.
It's not out of reach, you
Yeah,
could say. Yeah.
that's a cool thing about, like, there's a lot of stuff that's, within reach for a lot of people. So it's cool that there's different avenues and stuff like that. You kind of, the old saying goes, if there's a will, there's a way. I think that's what a lot of this indie comics movement is about. Like we've seen, like right here, Death, 86,000. Congrats on passing that, brother.
Thank you.
Oh, over 1,100 backers here. So yeah, man. Like, why don't you tell everybody
Well,
about Death, Death?
Death, Death. It is it's a sci-fi fantasy book. I'd say almost leans a little bit more towards the fantasy because it's not so much like dogfights in outer space. It's all kind of grounded on a planet still, a moon actually. But it's a story about this small family, a father and a mother and a child that are on the run from their estranged tribe, like people that they should get along with in theory. And during their point of being chased down, they are apprehended by settlers that have currently settled the moon as well. Over, it's a big place, so they're separated by oceans and land masses, but they finally bump heads, and that's when you start to see the futuristic side of the way the settlers live in comparison to the kind of like savage nature way that the family has lived, and it all coalesces as a giant war between three people or three factions you could say that all want the same property. So it's a mishmash of a family story, the survival of a family through all these events being the ones that are focused on the most, and basically the circumstances that come their way, and the quest to just be left alone, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, I'm doing something that's got big mech, um, giant monsters, a wide array of characters, fantastical characters, Bible lore, angels, demons, that kind of stuff. But I wanted to keep the actual tone and the basics of the story within the realm of like being grounded still. So even though it's a story that takes place in like a fantastical universe, it is still like a tale as old as time. In a lot of ways, it's still just
Yeah.
a hero father's struggle to keep his family safe and in one piece, despite things not going the way you'd want. Like just trying to bear with bad times in order to uh, still come out on top. Nobody wins by getting themselves killed day one. So
Yeah.
it's one of those kind of stories where the character themselves are playing the long game and just trying to get through certain circumstances till they can strike back and control their own fate again. So, but yeah, it's a war book and a family book. That's the basis of it. And I know I've talked a lot about the Bible lore, and people are like, "Well, is it like a book about faith?" And I'm like, kind of, but not really. Like it's not so much about like um praying to God for help, which obviously I'm not opposed to, as much as it's about like God gave you the things to help yourself, and you got to figure it out now. It's more from it's very much from a father's kind of perspective of tough love and all that kind of stuff. So, it depends on the take. Some people could say, well, it's still a universe where God and the Christian ideas are real, but at the same time, like this ain't Earth. These aren't humans. Like like these characters don't get all the luxuries that Jesus gave us through what he did. These characters are like things that should have never existed in the first place, you could say. So it's like you're lucky you're just being allowed to live. You haven't even really earned that right to be alive. So it's not super harsh and cold. I wouldn't say it's as harsh and cold a universe as like Berserk, where that's like medieval levels of like harshness and life realities. This is more like I don't. It's got a touch. It gives you more of the feel of like I'm struggling and I got to figure out how to pay these bills and keep my wife and kid fed, but
Yeah,
coded in a giant Mac war story, you know. So, but it's that same idea, that same level of like what a man might feel in those situations, but it's a more extreme, amped up version of that. Instead of it's I got to pay the bills and keep them fed. It's I have to live through war so that I can get them the fuck out of here into some place where we're not constantly having to struggle, you know.
yeah,
But that's where all the struggle comes from. That's what's great about it. You know, that's how you keep upping the ante of what these characters have to get through um, in order to keep moving ahead. Ghost House. It's not self-contained. This is just volume one. It will still be a mostly, you know, like I would say with any book where it's a long story, you still have these points where you wrap up loose ends that you feel like need to be wrapped up for the bulk of book one to feel complete, if that makes sense. Like there should still be an end, even if it continues. If you know,
yeah,
if you understand from a writer's perspective what I'm trying to say.
definitely.
So while certain things will be tied up and they're just finished in terms of that book, there's also a lot of stuff that won't be because that's, you know, they're huge books. You'll get plenty. That's all I'm trying to say. It's a 300 plus page book, so you're gonna get more than enough story to where you know you're gonna know for fact if you're ready for another book or if you're done and tapped out on book one. So
Yeah. Yeah, same man. One of my favorite things is the way you do your lettering, man. I love that. The whole crash when the creature's jumping down. I know that's a pain to do, but it's awesome seeing it on the page.
well, thank you. Yeah, man, it's honestly it's one of those things that's been like a nightmare to get through because I just got so into a groove of just draw pages, scan pages, color pages, letter pages. Like I would forget things like that. And I go backwards now and I'm trying to get it all finished now, but I'm like, good Lord, like the results are cool, but it is overwhelming. Like I've really had to pick my battles with sound effects and make them count, you know? So, because they do look cool. Like that crack, I love that panel. I'll always love that panel right there. Because the minute I finished that panel and had the sound effect dropped in, I was just like, "Oh, this is it, baby! This is this is how the Japanese do it." But
Yeah,
from a Western comic perspective, it's hard to do. But if you're slick, man, you can just drop those sound effects right in and make them blend right in with the environment. And it's not in like a Scott Pilgrim way. It's like in a serious way. So.
yeah.
And I love
Now,
Scott Pilgrim, but that's not what I'm going for.
now, dude, I'm all about them. I need those sound effects in Bloodbone, and especially when you get to some of the fun stuff we're doing.
Mhm.
Need the big, the emphasis. I call it the emphasis. It's like the
We need
big,
some flubbles. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh,
cool.
and I've reworked all of these pages. Like, it's kind of weird when I see, like, when I scroll the campaign pages now, because I'm like some of this feels so old to me. Like now, I wouldn't say I've like tweaked a bunch of the art because I don't have time for that. A lot of the art just has to be what it is. But I've definitely like rethought dialogue and the way I want to hint towards things that are going to happen later in the book early on and just better ways to verbalize everything. You know, it's frustrating being behind on the book, but like when I'm getting really good feedback from like editorial help and stuff like that and they feel like it's going in the right direction outside, there's little things that I'll get advice
Yeah,
on and I'll change or fix and adjust, but overall they like the tone and the type of story that I'm leading them into. So because it's the first book, and I know like a lot of people they kind of get heck on their first book because you typically are getting like a dramatized origin story, which is fine. But if people don't feel like they're getting much and they're going to be waiting years on end again to just get to the next part of this and get past, the layout work, like I just really wanted to make sure this book was nice and big so that I had room to properly do that stuff. Because if I would have treated like the first three chapters even as three different books, because they're all more than long enough that I could have chopped them down to like 40 pagers somewhere in that realm. Um, I don't think people would have seen where it was going enough. Like they would have got a taste of such a one aspect of the book in the story that it just did not give you enough to know what was coming. So, and it wouldn't have been very well represented by me, the way I described it. If you're seeing these images of big mech and stuff, and then I put out the first chapter as its own book, and you're like, well, this is just some monsters chasing each other. You know, it's it's not really
No,
fair to the viewer. So, and
yeah, like
I've
each
already dedicated myself to the esoteric numbers of all of this as well. So I'm kind of locked in until God tells me I can go outside of certain bounds. I have
yeah,
already handed this over to the big guy. So
yeah. So the thing is, like each story has its own way. Like some stuff is like meant more for like a short story format, the floppy format. Yours is kind of like the big kind of grand epic trade kind of format.
hmm
Like you just have to go with whatever fits your story, really. And
yeah, good
I was
person.
looking at your stretch goals, by the way, brother.
Yeah.
And we're 14 grand away from Joe from Joe Ball destroying his right hand, trying to sign all these fucking books. I like
Well,
how you
yeah.
did that. I like how you put it at 100K. That's smart. Just like if we get there, I'll do it. But if not, I like that.
Well, that was just going to be for like the original art tier, But when I was like, well, I don't know if you guys, if we hit 100K, I'll give it to everyone. I'll let everyone get a nice
Yeah,
little note inside of the book.
yeah, man.
I'm
Same
still
thing.
undecided. I've wondered if people would want it signed directly or if they'd rather have a little handwritten like card that I put inside. What do you think? Like, would people be more offended by that? Would they rather have it
Yeah,
on the little book
I
itself?
think most people in the indie space want the book signed. Yeah, I remember when your boy did the little slip. That was so lame.
Okay,
You
good. I'm
sign the
glad
book.
you
If
told
you're
me.
gonna sign the book, sign the book. Like I'm not a fan of signing, but I too will sign raid if it gets to 100K. So just putting that out there now. But if you're gonna sign the book, sign the book. Like don't do that. Yeah, so just sign that bad boy.
Now, I was gonna sign the insides. What do you think of that? Signing the inside, like first
Definitely.
image page.
Don't
Okay,
touch the cover. Always inside the book.
okay. So that's what I was thinking. Now, I always had guys sign covers at conventions, so that's why I wondered because I was like, there's some stuff where I've been fine with them signing the cover, but I've also never asked anyone to sign a hardback book.
Yeah,
It's always been
to
floppies.
me,
So
floppies you can do the cover. Like I have some signed covers, but if you're doing like a trade, it has to be on the inside. It's like a whole different vibe to it. Yeah,
yeah,
I'll definitely sign the inside for that.
if I can swing it at some point, I might even get some graded. You know,
Oh, be
and
sweet.
throw some
Yeah,
of those up. Like I've not thought too deep into it, but I know that's kind of the thing these days. So
yeah, that's a
I
big,
might,
deal,
I
man.
might, after fulfillment, after
Yeah,
everyone else is taken care of, if I can get some graded, that might be something we like throw up on the website or something as a special over there.
that'd be awesome. So yeah, guys, you can grab a copy of Def. The link is in the chat. It's also in the description. You're getting close to 50 minutes, so we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you to everybody who stopped by. Cole, Apex Comics, Ghost House, obviously my boy Joe Ball for
Yeah.
another episode here. We'll be back in 2 weeks on the Writer's Cut. You can follow me at Edwin Aces on Twitter for all updates about Raid. Tomorrow, sometime probably by noon, I'm putting up 2 new sketch cards by Eric Ninotowski. So he did 2 awesome cards, of one of Auric, one of Alga. I just got those in over the weekend, so I'm going to put those up as a sketch card bundle, so they should be up by noon tomorrow. So go check that out. Oh, we got somebody new here. Open Airlock Policy, what up? Thank you for joining us. We're just wrapping things up here, but thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
Joe, where can they find you at, brother?
You can find me on Twitter at Comic Art Master One, or just look up Joe Ball King Toad Inc. and you'll find me the same way on Twitter.
Yeah, check out that King Toad website, by the way. It's killer.
Yeah, we just launched the website. It's up and running. We got a big merch store on there with all of our past works and all of our new merchandise. You can find the website as well on my Twitter. It's listed in my bio, but it is kingtoadinc.com. So very easy to find. KingToadinc.com. Very easy. And there's links to like our campaigns and all that stuff there. If you want to commission anybody, we have like contact information there for everyone we work with, Ace included, because he has been working with us and his self-publishing as well.
Yeah.
So he's been.
If you want stick figures of any of your favorite characters, I can hook you up with that for a small fee. So,
Yep, but yeah, check us out there. In the Swarm sign-up page, if you go to Indiegogo and search for Swarm, the sign-up page is up. Or you can even look at Shane Mess or my Twitter feed. You'll see plenty of links for it. That's our next book we're doing. It's already finished. We got our first round of proof copies in, had some issues, so we have to get them done again just to make sure everything's squared away. But yeah, we got that book all ready to go. It's colored, lettered, completely done, and we'll be launching that in late July, probably somewhere in that realm at least. And
it's gonna be so good, man. It's gonna be killer.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for people to get their hands on that one too, because it's just I don't know, it's just a feel good book. It's a feel good superhero comic, and I know that there's some superheroes within like the indie scene, but it seems to always have like some overtone of like comedic irony, or it's a deconstruction or a gray area guy or a dark hero. It's always got to have some spin. They can't just be blue skies, green grass, red, white, and blue. I want John Byrne's Superman. That's what I want. So, but that's me. And this
same way, man. Same way.
Feel.
Yeah. Just want to say, hail B.A. Turner. Thanks for joining us. We just
things
here, but we appreciate you stopping by.
That's another guy I'm doing a cover for. Actually, I'm getting some work done for old BA. It's gonna be off the hook.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be sick. All right, guys, it's been fun, but we'll catch you on the next one. You guys have a good night.
Later, guys. Peace. Thank you.